One of the most asked questions I have when I'm streaming, or just like a tip question in general, is, hey, PCI tips, I need them. Honestly, man, who doesn't at times? But that's why I am here today, to help you get better at handling your PCI. So before we actually get into like handling the PCI and stuff like that, let's get into what PCI you should be using. Now, one thing SDS has done over the years, and since DD has kind of like taken off the last couple of years, the customization for your PCI. Back in the day, bro, if you played MLB 15 through, when was the first year they had this PCI customization stuff? I want to say MLB 20. Yeah, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. There was only 3 different PCIs you could use, which was reticle and wedge. And then there were a couple other ones, but everybody just used reticle or wedge. So literally all wedge was just the inner PCI was basic, and that's what your reticle was. This was, you know, this was the PCI I preferred, but some people used wedge as well, which is still in the game. If you go here, so you can it's still the exact same, it just doesn't have like the direct middle. So now instead what it does have, obviously, is you can use diamonds or circles. I'll just use circles just because that's what it used to be. So it used to just be the middle dot. There was not like a dot, but like there weren't 3 dots, it was just a 1. And that just counted for everything, so that's what most people use. But now with like the perfect fly balls, and then just like your normal line drives, and then your ground outs, it's a little different now. I did cover in my settings video what PCI I like to use, but I'll go through that again in this video just because not everybody has seen that video. My number one thing is that do not use the outer PCI in any way, shape, or form. I do not like it. I think it just takes up too much of the screen and it's distracting, and I do not recommend it in the slightest. Now, the different inners, I mean, like, I don't really use fishbowl. I used to use Starfighter. It's a usable one if you want like a little bit of a different change from basic. But I mean, wedge is always good. I still like wedge with like diamonds. I think that's like the consensus, that like it's the one that I always fall back on, if that makes sense. There's also a couple of different ones that I like to use though. I like to use basic and altitude sometimes. That looks like this, so it's something like this. I'm a big believer, man, and this is where I can kind of like get into it. I'm a big believer in PCIs just being aim small, miss small. So like your number one goal, obviously, when you're trying to hit the ball, is just put it on the ball. Putting your PCI on the ball, and then, you know, then worry about the timing aspect part of the game. But firm believer in aim small, miss small, so that's why I do not recommend any outer PCI. If you're playing on maybe like a little bit of a higher difficulty, you'll definitely want the inner, or if you just don't feel too super comfortable using just the centers. But I also do like to use just the centers. I usually like to just go diamonds in the middle here. So, you know, I'm literally just, instead of like the stuff surrounding it, it's literally just this. So I feel so much more in control with just the center. Not only will you feel so much more in control just using the center PCI, barrel up the ball a lot more, because you'll just find yourself not like kind of like, you know, those swings where like you're on it but you're not, kind of, where it's like it's not 100% squared up, but you know it's in the PCI, but it's not squared up. I definitely find like those swings happen a lot more when you're using something other than just the inner PCI, or not the inner PCI. Is that what it is? The inner, center, inner, you know what I mean. So that's why I recommend the center. If you're playing in like a little bit more of a higher difficulty, or you're just not as comfortable, then you can use the inner. But for this video specifically, and like my number one PCI recommendation, diamonds, and then like color and transparency. I like, this is really just all, you know, personal preference kind of thing. There's nothing like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, violet rewards you more than ocean. Like, no, it's personal preference, man, just like anything. Call of Duty can change like your indicators and stuff like that, color. It's literally just personal preference. I like to go with yellow just because that's always what the default was in older MLB The Show games. So I like yellow, and then if I had to pick a different, probably violet, but for this video's sake and the one that I recommend, just go with yellow. I actually wouldn't recommend a color like black or white, or like any color that may blend into something. So you see like there's a lot of green obviously here in Colorado, so maybe not green, or like if it's like a really bright jersey your opponent's wearing, and you know, if they have like the super blue neon jerseys, you know, custom jerseys or stuff like that, then you might, and if you have a blue PCI and you might want to like stay clear of that, go to yellow. Nothing, yellow really sticks out. So does violet, stuff like that. Any like purples, yellows, reds kind of are solid. I like to hold my PCI just middle. I went over this in my hitting tips video, but once again, kind of the same thing as the settings video. Maybe not everybody has seen that, and you're just seeing this video, or this is like the first video you're finding of me. I like to hold my PCI just kind of like middle in. I don't like to start it just middle. I kind of like to have it a little bit off center. A little bit off center. I mostly, if it's like righty or just with a righty batter in general, I will kind of just start to push it down and in, just because like, just so my thumb isn't completely still, and if he throws inside, I'm already moving that way. So it's definitely easier to turn on pitches if like that's just the way that your thumb is angled. I completely forgot what I was talking about because the Oilers just made it 6-5. But anyway, but yeah, holding my PCI kind of in the middle, it just allows it so that you can turn on inside pitches easier. And with the way that this game is, like if you're early on some pitches on the outside, that's like the big deal if you're kind of starting your thumb inside. But start your PCI just middle. I don't really like to anchor the PCI, but if that's something that you get, once again, that's just kind of something that's just personal preference. I personally don't, just because this is what I'm comfortable with. So everyone is different. Not everyone's going to play the like I will or you will, but PCI anchoring is just something that you're most comfortable with. I think if I had to recommend a PCI anchor, maybe like high and in, or like high and middle. That's something I know a lot of people use. I know a couple of top guys that I'm friends with say that they like to anchor their PCI like high middle, so that's another suggestion. But how to not slam your PCI, and I think really how you hold your thumb in the controller will do a lot for that too. If you hold that just like that little crease over your thumbstick, you know, it's slamming your PCI is not something that you can really just fix like that. It's kind of just something that, you know, over time you don't do as much. But really all I can say is you custom practice BP, face a lot of pitches just in the black, and try not to overextend your PCI. So if you see yourself overextending your PCI, so like I'm gonna try and get Cy Young to throw something specific here. So there you can kind of see my PCI is overextended. If you look at that swing right there, really like what causes that is just not seeing the ball enough and not enough reps, and maybe you're just starting your thumb dead middle, because that's what will happen. People will just, instead of tracking the ball, they will just completely flick it. Like you have to track the ball out of the hand for sure. That's one way to stop slamming your PCI. But I mean, like slamming your PCI, I mean, it's just something that happens. I slam my PCI all the time. And honestly, bro, like I tell you to aim small, miss small, but with the way that this game is, man, it's really a crapshoot. You could square up the ball and it's not going to go anywhere. But you know, the more you square up the ball, the less you're gonna get fucked. Definitely in this game, I recommend players with higher contact compared to higher power. I'm not saying that like the contact guys are meta, but like say if you have a guy that has 80 contact and 100 power and a guy that has 100 contact and 80 power, I would definitely say all day every day take the guy that has the 100 contact over the guy that has the 80 contact and the higher power. It just makes it easier to, like, your PCI is bigger, you feel more comfortable at the dish. Like, power still obviously is very important, but as far as when it comes to just PCI size, you want to have guys with really good contact in there, you know, like 85 plus, and we're looking at something decent. I would say anything over like 110, it's like, holy shit, like this guy's gonna be on the squad for a minute. Let's talk about kind of trying to track pitches like low away, like sliders and cutters, and how really not to overextend on those. So let's see who throws. Bob Gibson's got a slide piece here, so let's throw that. We'll throw that middle and down and away to the righties here. So for something like this, it really all just comes down to not slamming your PCI again, and just kind of just making fluent motions with your thumb. I kind of like to move it around a little bit too, just so that my thumb isn't cold and stuff like that. I know it sounds so stupid saying that your thumb's gonna get cold, but you know, it's just something just to keep your mind from not. Something I feel like a lot of people don't talk about in this game is just like, you can lose focus in this game really fast. And I even catch myself doing it sometimes too, where like I'll be slamming my PCI and stuff like that. I just won't be squaring up the ball, and it's just in my head. That's like one thing. Every tip video that I make, man, I always say there's so much mental game to this, to MLB The Show. Like, because dude, they're grueling games, they're long games. It takes the toll on you here even when you're in it. So make sure you're taking breaks in between games for sure. If you're getting frustrated or feel like you're not playing well enough, or you're getting down yourself, be sure to, you know, take a break, relax. Sometimes we all just need a day away from it, man. Yeah, for PCI, man, you really just want to take that top inner PCI. That was top center PCI, sorry. So your top diamond And that's what you're trying to put on the ball. That's what you want to hit. As the cool kids like to say, man. Elevate and celebrate. I think that's going to be it for this video, though, fellas. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything that I may have missed, or if you have any questions for me, for sure. That's why I'm here. That's my job. It is my job to help you get better. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, man. We just hit 1,900 subs, so thank you guys so much for that. On the road to 2K. I'm having a blast making these YouTube videos, man. Trying to get everything back in order with my sleep schedule and stuff like that. It's been really poopy recently, but I appreciate you guys, man. Be sure to drop a like, leave down in the comments any questions. I will see you guys later. Peace.